We shall be talking about food as well this morning. Of course, as usual, we always want to talk about breakfast ideas. Sometimes some ideas you can even stretch to dinner. But a while ago, Queen was making a point about how that we don't have to necessarily wait for things to get this crazy, right?
Yes, until rumors of protest, or we begin to see agitations, people talking about protest, or until you cannot find the faces of organizers before dialogue is ensued. So we must begin to take decisive action as leadership, I beg your pardon, as a leadership, as a government, as an authority. You must take decisive measures. People have been, they've been hunger pants for a while now. People have been crying of hunger, inflation rates. What measures were taken? Instead, we heard of policies and policies that were not needed at that time. The national anthem was changed when we're still talking about inflation. A whole lot of things where, electricity tariff went up, and then we're talking about minimum wage and of an average Nigerian worker, and we're changing the national anthem and all of those. Those actions are enough to aggravate Nigerians and, make them agitated, piss them off. We're talking about making sacrifices, and then there were rumors of the president acquiring another private jet. So these things that it looks as if, okay, we're being governed by people who are insensitive, who are not, who are not in touch with the reality of Nigerians in general. So we want to see, what Nigerians want to see basically is a government that understands and listens and, is able to ensure that there is dialogue, communication, decisive actions, minimum wage, fix it. There's hunger in the land. Let's not have cosmetic measures where you just dole out bags of rice, for the meantime. I think people want to know that there'll be lasting solutions to whatever it is that they're not just bag of rice that we do not even know how it's been. Obviously, there are rumors that this same bag of rice are rebagged. You see videos where these bags of rice that are supposed to be given out as palliatives are being rebagged, and they'll be taken back to the market and sold for higher prices to those people who are supposed to have gotten it for free. So what's prior to now, when we heard about the distribution of the bags of rice, trucks of rice to different states, my question was, who follows through the implementation to ensure the
distribution is even, and it gets to target beneficiaries.
Target beneficiaries. How do we ensure that every local government is a beneficiary in a particular state? Hope we will not have issues or cases of siphoned trucks and all of that. But as we see today, we're seeing videos of the same rice being rebagged. So Nigerians want to know that, okay, on the part of the government, it might be that government is doing its part to ensure that things are a bit eased off for Nigerians, but the people who are the middlemen, some of the people who are legislators, who are supposed to ensure that maybe take for instance local government chairman, but those people who are the middlemen basically are not doing their part in terms of even distribution, and because of selfish gains as well. So we like that actions have been taken. Yesterday as well, the president passed a new bill for the new minimum wage. And there have been talks here and there. We like that security parastatals are doing their bit to ensure that the protest is safe for protesters. And we're just seeing a government who is willing to now get involved. So
it's interesting. On the 28th of this month, which was just 2 days ago, a very frontline human rights lawyer, Adegberuwa SAN, had written to the IG to say, look, we need police protection. We need police to understand we're going on the protests, X, Y, Z, and stuff like that. And then by yesterday, the IG had taken action in that direction. As a matter of fact, he has even invited Mr. Adegberuwa to a meeting with him today. Now, on account of that request, the IG has said the police will provide cover across all the states, all right, which means that the government understands that people will protest as long as it is peaceful demonstration and so on and so forth. So the law enforcement agencies owe it a duty, is in the law, is fundamental, to provide protection for those who are protesting, all right? And then I realized that there has also been the conversation around how that if you must protest, go to your respective states and protest. So don't bring it to Abuja. But again, that's an argument that won't work, all right? Obviously. The second thing is that we need to also realize that when we talk about protests, it doesn't always have to be about the federal government. The governors have their own duty. I mean, their work is cut out for them as well. All right. So, what makes you think the governor does not owe you something? What makes you think the governor does not owe you duty in certain areas that are critical? Health, the economy, providing jobs for young graduates, for example, making massive, commendable investments in initiatives that help young people learn skills, practical skills, whether it's in tech or craft, whatever it is. I mean, you have an entire creative industry in trillions that we probably are not taking advantage of, or at best we're just scratching the surface. So what are the governors doing in this regard? When it's time for election, particularly re-election, you see governors come out with all the resources they've got. They call it war chest in the political landscape. But how is it that these same governors don't come out with that much war chest when it comes to doing their beats across this country? We want to see where you say you are protesting, for example, at the state level, or what we call the subnational level, and you're taking it to your state governor. How many governors in this country since 1999, from time to time, maybe quarterly basis, maybe half a year basis, would come out to say, this is what we received as allocation? Most Nigerians won't even know how much their state governors or state governments receive as allocation, if not for the fact that the agency of government responsible for that normally publishes it either on their website or on some sort of established newspapers. So what it means is that when it comes to accountability, it's not exclusive to the federal government. Now, this is not me holding brief for the federal government. We're saying that what is good, sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander, as they say. So if the federal government, which also has its own duty, its own parts to play, is held accountable, which is what should be done, the state governors must also do their parts. That's why we have the concurrent list. There are areas, for example, where both federal and state governments must be doing funding. Health is one of them. Ecology, which is the environment, is one of them. But what do you find across the states? Ecological fund comes into the states. The governor spends 4 years, or in some cases 8 years, and he depletes the funds. And nobody's asking their governor, why do we still have gully across our states? Who is supposed to be responsible? And then the governors are busy telling you, these are federal roads, these are federal roads. What is happening with state roads? The governors are not answering those questions. So the point we're making all of this is we must continue to raise the bar as far as the political consciousness or awareness is concerned. It doesn't have to be about the federal government all the time. When it comes to security, for example, there's also a role that state governors can play. For example, now the state governors for some years have been asking for state police. So in the event that we get state police, what would the governors do with the state police? And that's why you see, Queen, people are also now concerned to say, if you had state police, will the governors not abuse and exploit it? Of course, we are waiting for that to happen because it has to be one step at a time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now we have to, we have to come back to this conversation again.
We sure have to.
Because we want to bring you breakfast ideas. Where Anamel has put for us something very, tasty and sumptuous. So let's look at what Anamel has put together for us for breakfast.
Market is very difficult.
Why?
Things cost, everything costs.
Today, we have been patronizing on a daily basis.
Akara is a delicious snack and a popular breakfast staple in Nigeria. It is also called kose or black-eyed pea fritters. This recipe is one of the easiest vegetarian or vegan-friendly Nigerian food. Akara is made from peeled beans, washed and ground with pepper and onions, also with other preferred seasonings, then beaten to aerate them and deep fry in small bowls. The dish was brought by enslaved Nigerian citizens from South Africa and can still be found in various forms in Nigeria, Ghana, Togo, Mali, and Gambia. And in Nigeria, you can find akara on the roadsides, mostly in the mornings and evening. Let me show you how to make the best akara that is fluffy, pillowy, and delicious. All you need to make your akara is your beans, peppers, onions, salt, and oil to fry. To make your akara, you get all your ingredients ready. Soak your beans in water for 5 minutes. You get your mortar and pestle. Put your beans inside and crush the soaked beans. Don't crush it too hard. Take it out, get your colander and wash it separately. Take it out, get your colander and wash it separate the beans from its skin. When you finish separating, add fresh water and carefully wash the beans to avoid grinding with sand or stone. Add onions and pepper, then cover and take to the grinding machine and grind it. You can see how smooth and thick the batter is. Add some water and beat, preferably take it to grinding machine when making akara because it's the best way to get a soft and fluffy akara.
I've been doing the business for almost 5 years now.
Okay, for 5 years. So, when those people still patronize you, like, do you still get customers that buy from you?
Yeah, so I used to get customer, but based on how things are expensive now, not that much.
Since the hardship has been tightened now, so this is the only soft way we can be able to reduce our pains. Early in the morning, you have to come here with 200 naira. I can buy akara, each 15 naira per one. By the time you take cocoa again, or the pap there is 200 too. With 500 naira, you are okay for the day.
Beat the batter, add salt and ajinomoto only. Kose or akara doesn't need many ingredients like seasoning spices or even seasoning cubes. If you add seasoning cubes or any spices, your akara will soak oil. Heat your oil and add onion slice and fry. Then deep fry your akara and now your akara is ready to eat. Enjoy.
Interesting. Annabelle right there put together akara for us for breakfast. She took us through the streets, you know, roadside foods to see how it's being made. But I didn't see the process of washing the beans, grinding the beans and the other ingredients that went in it. I just saw the raw blended beans being turned and then put on fire. Interesting how akara is now very expensive because of beans.
The rise in cost of beans,
about,
right?
You know, because the hardship has literally affected everything. So if you go buy, you want to get roadside food, it's pretty expensive now because as to what it used to be because of the increment in literally everything: beans, pepper, tomatoes, firewood. You can't even use gas anymore to make this. Usually you see people who have, they still do, but it tells on the prices of the street foods. You see people who have their gases, big gases out there, big pot of oil on the fire, making snacks, making donuts, making akara and all of those things. But it's added money because of hardship and all of that. But it's interesting. Are you a sucker for akara?
Yes, I am, big time. In fact, I off the top of my head, I think that's what I'm going to have for breakfast today. Because it's something I grew up with, right? And so I'm very familiar with the process, how it's done, and all of that. And by the way, my wife makes that almost every other weekend, so it's been part of my life, basically. But again, it just shows that Nigerians are resilient people, all right? Because I've seen myself, because I get to buy it as often as possible, the marked increase in the price of a ball of akara. And we all know you cannot eat just a ball. It has to be several balls, that sort of thing. And sometimes because we are very communal in the way we live, there are people who also want to buy for friends, for colleagues, and things like that, all right? And it's interesting, like we were saying off camera a while ago, how that beans is now more expensive than rice. You know, before now, rice used to be the elitist kind of food. Beans was for those who can afford it.
Who can afford it.
But now beans is luxury.
Times have changed.
Yes, beans is now ajabo food, so to speak, that kind of thing. So it just shows how much a lot has changed. But again, talking about beans, rice, and staple foods now, we're now hearing the federal government is rolling out an initiative to cut down the price of 50 kg of rice to 40,000. Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris, said that yesterday after the FEC meeting. Is also in the news this morning. Now, in the event that is true, it means that's some very significant reduction because just over the weekend I was told it's 70,000 naira a bag of rice. So if the price has actually or will drop from 70 to 40, we're making progress, don't you think?
I think we're making progress, but can we get to that point where we go back to
8.5
status quo, where bag of rice was 8,000 naira, 8,000 naira, or thereabouts?
Now we're talking 2014, 2015.
Literally, how did a bag of rice skyrocket to 40,000, 70,000, and now we're talking,
we're told it hits 80, 90, 100 range one time.
Yes, a certain period, and then we're talking about slashing it, coming down to 40,000. I think during that period where a bag of rice was 8,000 naira, if someone had sold a bag of rice for 40,000 naira, people would be shouting. People would be, the whole place would go agog. But we went gradually from 7,000 naira to 20,000 naira, and thereabouts, and gradually we saw things increase. And I think that's the more reason. So a bag of rice being 70,000 naira, which is, we're talking of minimum wage being 70,000 naira, which means an average Nigerian earner cannot afford, your salary cannot buy you a bag of rice. So it's saddening, and the more reason why people are agitated, hardship, particularly, and it's called hunger protest because of a truth. There's hunger in the land, but I would always advocate for a peaceful protest and the government doing the needful. By the ways, akara happens to be not my favorite. Of course, I love street food. I love African salad. Akara happens to be one of the things that I really like, particularly with pap. I like it with pap, and it used to be a weekend kind of delicacy in my home. I don't know what happened. Did we outgrow it, or did beans become very expensive? Well, maybe one of those factors must have, made us.
Incidentally, we have Anthony Momodu bringing us an update on sports this morning. Of course, there has been so much news about how the Nigeria contingent is doing up there in Paris, France, at the Olympics. Some of the results are not quite impressive, but Nigerians have always been Nigerians, making us proud every opportunity they get. Here is Anthony Momodu's report.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to Sports News Update. Proud to start off Sunday's matchup against Puerto Rico, the national anthem of African nation was abruptly cut off about 20 seconds into playing of the recorded track. Various online posts claiming it was Sudan's anthem and not South Sudan's, and that was played over the arena speakers. South Sudan qualified for Paris Games for the first time last year after emerging from civil war, with Sudan to become an independent nation in 2011. The Sudanese players and their fans first stood confused, prompting fans of both teams inside the Lille Stadium to boo. They then started clapping as Sudan's players stood in unison with their hands over their hearts, watching for the issue to be reconciled. Puerto Rico players did the same in solidarity. Not since 1960 had Great Britain won an Olympic medal in the women's diving. Not since 2004 had Team GB claimed a gong on the opening day of the Games. Yet Yasmin Harper and Scarlett Mew-Jensen defied history in the Paris pool on Saturday to win a brilliant bronze, and it came with a little help from their Australian friends. The British pair were fourth going into the fifth and final round of the dives in the synchronized 3-meter springboard final. Their only hope of getting amongst the medals was if Australia made an almighty hash of their last attempt, and boy, did they. In Ashes terms, it was Nathan Lyon fumbling the ball to miss running out Jack Leach at the headline in 2019. In diving terms, it was a calamity. The number one ranked man in world fencing exited the men's Sabre event at the Olympic Games in Paris, but he did not leave quietly. Georgia's Sandro Bazazi lost 15-14 to Mohamed Amir of Egypt in the round of 16. However, the contest ended with both players screaming in apparent celebration. Bazazi was seemingly convinced that he had landed the winning touch before Amir and looked stunned when his opponent was announced as the victor. But Spanish match referee Vanessa Chinchon checked the video and still concluded that Amir had won. Bazazi was furious and continued shouting at Chinchon, who ignored him on her way out of the arena. Eurosport commentator Bob Ballard has been removed from the broadcaster's coverage of the Olympic Games after he made a sexist remark regarding Australia's female swimmers. After securing gold in the women's 4x100 meters freestyle relay, Australia's quartet, consisting of Emma McKeon, Shanna Jack, Maury O'Callaghan and Meg Harris, made their way out of the Paris Aquatic Centre. A clip of the comment has since gone viral on social media, and Eurosport has opted to act swiftly, removing Ballard from their coverage of the ongoing Olympics. And talking Formula One, George Russell knew what was coming his way as he slipped out of the paddock gate at the Spa on Sunday night. It wasn't until he was heading home on the long and windy road through the depths of the Ardennes that his worst fears were confirmed. The third Grand Prix win of his career, one built on the back of a remarkable bold strategic call, had been chalked off. Russell was disqualified. The race win inherited by teammate Lewis Hamilton, as Russell was toasting the genius call to remain on the one-stop strategy. The sports governing body were busy conducting their usual post-race test. It was there an anomaly was detected. It took 2.5 hours for the stewards to confirm their judgment, but as he waited the verdict, the conciliatory look on team boss Toto Wolff's face gave you inclination of the outcome to follow. I'm going to Real Madrid. Brazilian wonder kid Endrick has been unveiled to fans at Real Madrid just days after signing from Brazilian club Palmeiras. A reported 43,000 fans turned up to the Santiago Bernabeu to see the forward don the white of the Madrid for the first time. The 18-year-old thanked fans in fluent Spanish, being visibly moved to tears as he spoke of his pride joining the La Liga champions. Endrick told fans it was a lifelong dream to play for Madrid before leading the crowd in a chant of Hala Madrid in unison. It has been a transfer saga almost 2 years in the making after Madrid agreed a deal with Palmeiras back in December 2022. And that's how we call it a wrap on the Sports News Update. I am Anthony Momodu.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Get in on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Get ready for it. Inside Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Jumaine Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and a repeat every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out. Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here. In an ever-busy world, the increasing challenge of keeping track of health matters can be extremely demanding. Follow the latest health tips and trends on Health Guide on Global Television on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Health Guide on Global Television. Put your health first.
Are you a food lover? Do you care about your health and nutrition? Are you interested in exploring the diverse culinary traditions from around the world? Then look no further. Introducing Lunch Global on Global Television, a show that takes you on a delicious journey through the world of food, nutrition, and diet. So, whether you're a seasoned foodie, a health enthusiast, or simply curious about the world of food, Lunch Global has something for everyone. Tune in Mondays to Fridays and let your taste bud take you on a journey of flavor, culture, and discovery on Lunch Global. Bon appetit! Are you a food lover? Do you care about your health and nutrition? Are you interested in exploring the diverse culinary traditions from around the world? Then look no further. Introducing Lunch Global on Global Television, a show that takes you on a delicious journey through the world of food, nutrition, and diet. So, whether
Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to the AM News on Global Television. We're coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I'm Queen Agaba. We'd like to remind you that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365. President Bola Tinubu has signed the new Minimum Wage Act into law. The brief ceremony was witnessed by President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, and Deputy Senate President Barau Jibrin, among others. Soldiers have taken over the Akanu Ibiam International Airport in Enugu and other strategic points ahead of the August 1st nationwide hunger protest. This is coming as Ohaneze Ndigbo Youth Wing declared that Igbo youth will not participate in the protest, which is scheduled for August 1st to 3rd, 2024. However, our correspondent observed heavy movement of military personnel, especially those of the Nigerian Army, in the Enugu metropolis. Security agencies have barricaded a part of the outskirts of Abuja, a situation that has caused a gridlock extending as far as Yanya Bridge, more than 12 kilometers from the checkpoint. Civil servants and traders who work in the Federal Capital Territory live outside the city center in places such as Yanya, Karu, Maraba, and Masaka. After hours of standstill, many of them were forced to return home. The organizers of the planned hunger protest in Abuja have told the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, that there is nothing that will stop them from using Eagle Square. A group that calls itself Take It Back Movement had written to the minister requesting the use of Eagle Square for its protest on August 1st, as well as the provision of security and utilities for the duration of the protest. In its letter signed by its Director of Mobilization, Damilare Adenola, the group also stated that the minister must ensure the provision of 24-hour power supply, toilet facilities, water, and security for the convenience of Nigerian citizens who will be camped out at Eagle Square. Ahead of the August 1st to 12th hunger protest by Nigerian youths under the hashtag End Bad Government, some youths in Niger State have taken to the streets to protest the hardship Nigerians are currently facing. This is coming barely 1 week after the Niger State Governor Mohammed Bago announced that Niger State youths would not go out on the streets to protest, saying the youths of the state were peace-loving. The youths were seen along the expressway on Tafa local government carrying placards which read, "Enough is enough, stop anti-Marxist policies. We're not slaves in our country. Hardship is unbearable. Fuel subsidy must be back," among others. Similarly, the United States, United Kingdom, and Canada have raised the alarm over the likelihood of violence during the planned August 1st End Bad Governance protest in the country. The three countries, in separate travel alerts, cautioned their nationals in Nigeria to avoid getting caught in the confrontation that might occur between security agencies and protesters, citing past incidences. The advisories here come as apprehensive market leaders in Abuja, Sokoto, Kano, Katsina, Ogun, Oshu, Zamfara, Gombe, and other parts of the country requested strong security around markets during the rallies. Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman, has advised students in Nigerian universities to remain on campus during the planned nationwide protest to avoid risking their lives. The minister, through the acting executive secretary of the National Universities Commission, Chris Meyaki, made this known in a letter addressed to vice chancellors of Nigerian universities. The presidency and police authorities have called on youth to abandon this planned protest. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, has forecast a series of thundery and rainy weather conditions across the country from Monday to Wednesday. The prediction was outlined in the agency's weather outlook released. The states expected to experience these weather conditions include Kebbi, Katsina, Borno, Bauchi, Taraba, Zamfara, Nasarawa, Benue, Niger, Kogi, Plateau, Cross River, Akwa Ibom, Ebonyi, Imo, Anambra, Oyo, Rivers, Kano, Kaduna, and Zamfara. Former Kano State House of Assembly Speaker Kabiru Rurum, who is currently the chairman of the House Committee on Air Force, has challenged the Kano State government's decision to dissolve the Rano Emirate. Rurum, a member representing Rano, Kibia, and Bunkure federal constituency, faulted the state government's decision at the commissioning of the Nigerian Air Force Girls Boarding Secondary School in Rano. Also, Rurum vehemently opposes the Kano State government's decision to downgrade the Rano Emirate to second-class status. The Lagos State government is set to test the state-of-the-art 40-passenger ferries built by Keverton Marine Limited in collaboration with the state. The Ministry of Transport and the Waterways Authority announced that the omnibus pilot operations would focus thorough testing of the ferries, data collection, public awareness, and operational framework refinement ahead of full deployment. A statement added during the 2-week pilot operation period, the ferries would operate on 3 key routes with 1 round trip per day on each route, morning and evening. The West African Examinations Council, WAEC, has officially announced that the results for the 2024 West African Senior School Certificate Examination will be released on August 5th, 2024. Students across the West African region are eagerly waiting their results, which will be available online through designated WAEC offices. This announcement marks the end of a tense waiting period for candidates who sat for the exams earlier this year. You're watching the Global AM News, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on DSTV, channel 365, and Star Times, channel 276. Kindly follow us on our social media platforms using @GlobalTVNG and other handles now showing on your screen. When the news AM returns, President Tinubu orders Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to sell crude to Dangote Refinery in Naira. We'll bring you this and other stories right after this break. Do stay with us.
The Governor of Imo State, His Excellency Senator Hope Uzodinma CON, on behalf of the government and the people of the state, most warmly welcomes President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and traditional rulers from all the southern states to Owerri on the occasion of the inauguration of the Southern Nigeria Traditional Rulers Council. Date 30th July 2024. Venue Rockview Hotel, Owerri. Time 12 noon. His Excellency is overjoyed that this historic inauguration is holden in Imo State and has pledged to avail our royal fathers all the support they require to make the occasion a huge success. Welcome to Imo. the Eastern Heartland and the home of hospitality, signed Chief Cosmas Iwu, Secretary to the government of Imo State.
Many thanks for staying with us. If you've just joined us, this is Global Television bringing you live broadcast of the AM News. In business, President Bola Tinubu has directed the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to sell crude to Dangote Refinery and other upcoming refineries in Naira. Special advisor to the President on Information and Publicity, Bayo Ononuga, via his official X handle, stated that the move, which is to ensure the stability of the pump price of refined fuel and the dollar-naira exchange rate, was adopted by the Federal Executive Council. The Nigerian Communications Commission has directed telecommunications operators to immediately restore all blocked phone lines due to non-linkage of national identification numbers to SIM cards. In a statement by the Director of Media and Public Affairs, Ruben Moka, the telecom industry regulator explained that this directive was in response to the widespread disruption caused by the blockages and to prioritize consumer convenience. Minister of Interior Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo has characterized the era of fuel subsidy as a cancer that was destroying Nigeria's economy, necessitating its removal by President Bola Tinubu. Tunji-Ojo made this statement in an interview while appealing to Nigerians to be patient with the Tinubu-led administration. According to the minister, the president's decision to remove the subsidy, along with other tough reforms implemented by his administration, is not only laudable but also demonstrates his boldness as a leader. Nigeria's imported food inflation jumped to 36.38% in June 2024 from 34.83% recorded in the previous month, which represents a 1.55% point increase. Consumer Price Index data for June 2024 by the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, indicates that the average price index for imported food rose to 806.0 in June 2024 from 591.0 in the same month of the previous year. Nigeria's imported food inflation increased significantly from 19.10% recorded in June 2023 as Naira weakened following the unification of all segments of the forex exchange market by the Central Bank of Nigeria. The Nigerian Air Force says its Operation Delta Safe has destroyed 12 illegal refining sites and 2 reservoirs in airstrikes in Abia and Rivers State. The Director, Public Relations and Information of the Nigerian Air Force, Air Vice Marshal Edward Gapquet, stated that the nation's Air Force had intensified efforts to minimize the activities of oil thieves and other economic saboteurs in the Niger Delta. He stated that the armed reconnaissance undertaken by the aircraft revealed several illegal refining sites located in many fenced households in Umweze in Abia. On the foreign scene, Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro has won re-election with 51.2% of votes cast. The Electoral Council announced that after a campaign tainted by claims of opposition, intimidation, and fears of fraud. The president of the CNE electoral body, Elvis Amoroso, in its majority loyal to the government, told reporters 44.2% of votes had gone to opposition candidate Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia. Maduro, who is 61, addressed supporters minutes after the announcement. U.S. President Joe Biden has unveiled a sweeping proposal to reform the Supreme Court, calling on lawmakers to establish term limits and form an ethics code to restore trust and accountability on its 9 justices. The conservative-leaning court has become a political battlefield in recent years, with its 9 justices unelected and able to serve for life, playing a powerful role in American life on everything from abortions to the environment. The U.S. president has also called on lawmakers to pass a constitutional amendment limiting presidential immunity, a move which would reverse a recent Supreme Court decision. State media have reported that record-breaking rain left thousands of people stranded by floods in North Korea over the weekend, prompting leader Kim Jong-un to declare an emergency. Photographs show submerged farmland and homes after heavy rain hit Sinuiju City and Jeju County, which border China, according to Rodong Sinmun. Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni says China is an important interlocutor in managing global tensions as she met President Xi Jinping in Beijing. President Xi in turn hailed the long-established friendly ties as well as tolerance, mutual trust and mutual respect between Beijing and Rome. During her first trip to China since taking office, Meloni and Chinese Premier Li Qiang met and signed a 3-year plan to strengthen economic cooperation. Russia says it has downed 39 drones fired by Ukraine overnight, mainly targeting border regions. It stated that 3 others were neutralized in the northwestern Leningrad region near St. Petersburg in an attempted terrorist attack. Ukrainian drone attacks on Russian fuel depot, refineries and energy facilities are frequent, particularly in the border regions. Russia has also launched massive attacks on Ukraine's power plants, causing severe electricity shortages in recent months. Bangladeshi students have called new street protests after Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's government ignored an ultimatum to release their leaders and apologize for those killed in deadly unrest. According to reports, student rallies against civil service job quotas this month sparked days of violence that killed at least 205 people, including several police officers. The clashes were some of the worst of Hasina's 15-year tenure, but her government has since largely restored order by deploying troops, imposing curfew and shutting down the internet nationwide. In sports, the Tigress of Nigeria have beaten the Opals of Australia 75-62 in women's basketball at the Paris Olympics. Point guard Ezinne Kalu produced a clutch performance, inspiring the Rena Wakama coach team to withstand a late rally from the Aussies at the Paris Moroy Stadium on Monday. The victory was Nigeria's first at the game since Athens 2004. Kalu finished the game with 19 points and 5 rebounds, helping Nigeria to a memorable win over the third best team in the world. Nigeria's last hope in the boxing event of the Paris 2024 Olympics, Adam Olaore, crashed out of the games after losing Kazakhstan's Aybek Oralbey in the round of 16 of the men's 92 kg heavyweight category. Olaore, who became the sole bearer of the nation's hopes following the disqualification of Cynthia Ogunshemilore due to a failed dope test, was outclassed by Kazakh in a one-sided bout at the North Paris Arena. The Nigerian pugilist lost all 3 rounds, with all 5 judges ruling in favor of Oralbey. The final scorecard read 30-26 in favor of Kazakh, who dominated the fight from start to finish. Manchester United have made an inquiry about Chelsea defender Trevor Chalobah, as the 25-year-old may likely to move away from Stamford Bridge this summer. The news comes amid reports that Chalobah is disappointed to have been left out of Chelsea's pre-season trip to the USA. Trevor Chalobah is contracted to Chelsea until 2028, so he can be quite picky with his next club. He's naturally disappointed to have been excluded from Chelsea's pre-season tour of America, but won't exit unless the club is right. And that's it on the Global AM News, and it came to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on DSTV, channel 365, and Star Times, channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using @GlobalTVNG, and other handles now showing on your screen. I'm Queen Agaba. Thank you for watching, and see you again.
The Governor of Imo State, His Excellency Senator Hope Uzodinma CON, on behalf of the government and the people of the state, most warmly welcomes President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and traditional rulers from all the southern states to Owerri on the occasion of the inauguration of the Southern Nigeria Traditional Rulers Council. Date 30th July 2024. Venue Rockview Hotel, Owerri. Time 12 noon. His Excellency is overjoyed that this historic inauguration is holden in Imo State and has pledged to avail our royal fathers all the support they require to make the occasion a huge success. Welcome to Imo, the Eastern Heartland and the home of hospitality. Signed, Chief Cosmas Iwu, Secretary to the Government of Imo State.
Global television is people's television. It's for the people. They focus on the content of deliverables.
Global Television, channel 365 on your DSTV, the station to watch for your news and current affairs. Hey!
This is Global Television, channel 365 on DSTV, the station to watch for your news and current affairs.
This is Global Television, channel 365 on DSTV, a station to watch for current affairs and other societal news. Keep watching live.
Watching Global TV on DSTV channel 365, where don't touch it now, just watch.
This is Global TV. Keep watching on channel 365 on DSTV station and listening to the latest updates. Yay!
This is Global Television on DSTV, channel 365. Keep watching. Yay!
Global TV concept is the emerging, brand that everybody must watch. So I subscribe, and I'm prescribing that we must all be ready to begin to watch Global TV.
So keep watching Global TV, especially for updates on agriculture, food, commodities, and without food, there is no great nation.
So please watch Global TV because it's going to change your life.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television, getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Get ready for it. Inside Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Jumai Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and a repeat every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out. Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here. In an ever-busy world, the increasing challenge of keeping track of health matters can be extremely demanding. Follow the latest health tips and trends on Health Guide on Global Television on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Health Guide on Global Television. Put your health first.
Are you a food lover? Do you care about your health and nutrition? Are you interested in exploring the diverse culinary traditions from around the world? Then look no further. Introducing Lunch Global on Global Television, a show that takes you on a delicious journey through the world of food, nutrition, and diet. So, whether you're a seasoned foodie, a health enthusiast, or simply curious about the world of food, Lunch Global has something for everyone. Tune in Mondays to Fridays and let your taste bud take you on a journey of flavor, culture, and discovery on Lunch Global. Bon appetit!
Thank you, everyone, for staying with us on Global Morning. Time to take a look at the papers for you. And then, of course, we have the first one here, the Daily Independent. Just to mention that Queen Agaba is still in the background and nodding her head, knowing that...
you know, you have a signature way of saying... I think I've adopted that before. It's time for us to bring the papers for you. So I was looking forward to hearing for you.
And I didn't disappoint.
You didn't disappoint.
All right, so let's go independent with today's issue of Daily Independence. Now, all right, above the name mast, it says NCC orders reactivation of lines affected by NIN SIM verification issues. We understand those numbers, those services are already being restored, largely all of them for most subscribers, including that of yours sincerely. All right, it was crazy this Sunday and of course into yesterday. You just have your device with you. It's useless the whole time, unless of course you manage to latch onto a Wi-Fi service and then you're able to use a couple of apps here and there. But thank God for that directive coming from the industry's regulator. The big headline reads, protest starts in Niger as panic gathers momentum nationwide. No cause for alarm, all right? I don't protest. I'm already meeting your demands, Tinubu. FG mandates VCs to protect staff, students, infrastructure. Use stable 8-point demand for Tinubu to consider. IGP orders police protection for protesters, invites Adegboruwa. Okay, so if you want to have those details, just look at 29th page of today's edition of the Daily Independent. And then you have headlines to the left end of the Daily Independent today. We won't allow forces topple Tinubu's government, APC state chairman. Tinubu signs 70,000 naira minimum wage bill into law. That actually happened yesterday. Akpabio summons emergency Senate session over protest. Tinubu okays sales of crude oil to Dangote refinery in Naira. Many industry players, key stakeholders say that move was not only timely, but crucial for the sector. Suspended 800% hike in terminal charges. NEMA would have sent airlines to early grave, experts say one-way ticket would have hit 500,000 naira. Can you imagine that? All right. What's more, the foot of the page says FEC approves purchase of, let's see that now. Okay, dialysis consumables for 7 hospitals. If you take a look at the Daily Independent today, those are the stories you basically would find. Let's turn to the next paper as we bring you Daily Sun, and Queen Agaba has those headlines for us.
On the front page of the Daily Sun, quite a number of stories there. Big story says, nationwide protest, National Assembly summons emergency meeting. Just beside the nameplate of the Daily Sun, we have Igbo youths dissociate themselves from planned protest, demand Kanu's release. Tinubu signed 70,000 naira minimum wage bill into law. Akpabio says it's for whole nation. 2024 Hajj, 30 Nigerians died in Saudi Arabia. Rider says how federal government's 90 billion naira intervention fund was disbursed by Nikon. Edo, 3 parties yet to submit names of polling agents 24 hours to deadline, according to INEC. And then we have on the foot, okay, just by the side as well, NCC orders immediate reactivation of lines affected by NIN SIM verification issues. FEC approves sale of crude oil to Dangote and others in Nigeria. And then we have lastly on the foot of the paper, Customs declares 2.74 trillion naira H1 revenue, surpasses target. These are the stories we have on the front page of the Daily Sun. Our next point of call will be the New Telegraph.
Let's turn to the New Telegraph for you. From the headline above the name masts of it, FG orders NNPC Limited to sell crude oil to Dangote others in Naira. H1 2024, Customs surpasses revenue targets, generates 2.74 trillion Naira. Supreme Court to hold valedictory session August 22 as CJN Ariwola retires. Tunji Ojo, Tinubu means well, let's give him time to rescue Nigeria. Enugu targets 100 billion naira livestock production processing potential. Edo Guba will fix damaged infrastructure, that's INEC. August 1 youth rage. IGP orders police protection for protesters as Senate calls for emergency session tomorrow. All right, so let's see orders for you. Says NIN SIM verification. NCC orders immediate reconnection of deactivated lines. Tinubu signs new minimum wage bill into law. And then at the foot, there's a study that says consuming dried fruits daily might lower diabetes risk. Consuming dried fruit daily might lower diabetes risk. Okay, not so many stories coming through the New Telegraph today, but Nigerian Tribune looks a bit more promising with regards to the volume of headlines you have there.
Yep, the Nigerian Tribune has quite a number of headlines. Big story, planned protest, NAS, that's National Assembly, to hold emergency session tomorrow. Tinubu signed 70,000 naira minimum wage bill into law. Federal government approves crude oil sale in naira to Dangote to save $7.9 billion annually from fuel imports. Zenith Bank set to raise 290 billion naira capital through rights issue. 19 million adolescent girls face intimate partner violence before age 20, according to the World Health Organization. And we have NCC others immediate reactivation of all blocked lines. And FEC OK's 1.44 trillion naira road contract. Ore, Ondo, Akure, and other roads, among others, are approved. Lastly, we have federal government begins sale of 50 kg bags of rice for 40,000 naira. Lastly, on the foot of the Nigerian Tribune, we have Church of Nigeria condemns England's approval of same-sex marriage. So these are the stories we have on the Nigerian Tribune. Our next point of call will be the Daily Times.
Okay, everyone, let's turn to the Daily Times quickly. Above the name mast, CJN Ariwola bows out of Supreme Court, August 22. That's just in about 3 weeks. The Star story reads, "We need dialogue, not protests," FG, with 2 riders. Says there is likelihood the protests may be hijacked by unscrupulous elements, may turn violent. IGP bows to pressure, orders DIG's CPs to protect protesters nationwide. Tinubu signs new minimum wage bill into law. You see, Queen, let's step on our brakes for a second. You know, people have been curious, asking, what happens to domestic staff? What happens to those people who are not, generally speaking, in the formal sector? You know, will they also be entitled to the new minimum wage of 70,000 naira? The president of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, says yes, there will be. That is for all Nigerians. But as we say, it's easier said than done.
It's easier said than
done. Yeah, by the time these issues are whipping up controversies in little corners, I'm not sure Mr. Akpabio will be there. All right, because by then he would have moved on because he has other things to attend to. So what's the point? The point here is we need to continue to think around systems. We must have frameworks for implementation of this sort of legislation. It's not just enough to say it, because for all you care, we have even seen people even inside this current government who say, I can't pay my driver 100,000. I can't pay my driver 70,000, and so on and so forth. We know some of them, for example, on records, who still pay their drivers less than 50,000. I mean, domestic staff and all of that. So how do we, in practical ways, implement this is a question. It also means that beyond minimum wage, because the economy or the socio-economic space stretches beyond minimum wage, there are several other key factors, all right? We must start thinking around systems, you know, thinking around, be futuristic about how we plan and things like that. What do you tell a nanny, for example? What excuse would you give to a nanny, just citing an instance, because this is something every Nigerian can relate with, as to why you can't pay them 70,000 naira minimum wage? They follow the same news. They understand that the president has signed this bill into law now. All right, what do you give them as an excuse? You say, well, you know, you are a nanny. You don't have a degree. But it's called minimum wage for a reason.
Yeah, it's called minimum wage for a reason. But, you know, the Nigeria's workforce sector, there's a way it is, where we see constant abuse of employers to their employees. It happens all the time, particularly for people who are in the informal sectors, like nannies, who are caregivers, gatesmen, and security men. Because most times their employment process does not follow formal procedures. So they just, you know, employ them based on recommendations, or they even have someone who is in the business, like an agent who is in the business of bringing these girls from the village who are not educated. And even if they know about the minimum wage or they follow the news, they cannot on their own decide how much they will be paid. These people do not have options. They do not have luxury of options. So you see, they're forced to accept whatever it is that they're given, or they're forced to, even if they're not even given the minimum wage of 70,000 naira, they're giving way less, sometimes as low as 30,000 naira, and they are still in conditions that are very appalling. They still remain there. Why? Because they think, or they do not, in reality, do not have the luxury of choices. And that's why we see, this is not me saying that or okaying people being extreme to their employers. On no account should you be dubious or, you know, carry out very nasty acts of violence and all of that. But sometimes the circumstances and situations, you see caregivers steal from their employees. These people, how can you put a man at the gate, you give him a gun, an armed man, you give him a gun and you're paying him a salary of 30,000 naira? Make it make sense. So if this man connives with kidnappers or robbers because of something way, you know, higher, it would be that, you know, these people are not honest, these people are like this and are like this. But you don't, there are certain kinds of job. You have a nanny who takes care of your children. Wisdom, it's only wisdom that you do right by that nanny, you do fair by that nanny, pay them as and when due. Now, it's not even a matter of paying them minimum wage. The attitude at which we put to the people that we are, our employees, also matters. When a nanny works for you, you treat them fairly, because these people are in charge of your children. They oversee the affairs of your kids. And so if you treat them wrongly, you don't pay them when you're expected to pay them, they will still, you see nannies take out from the baby foods, you know, steal things, steal Pampers and go out to sell them. And this is not me endorsing or saying that it is okay, but common sense will tell you that, you know, these people are in need. And then it is not only wrong that you don't pay them well, you don't pay them as at well when due, and they are in very very unimaginable conditions that you can think of. So we must begin to, if you have a caregiver who you think that, I'm not saying, not everybody can be able to pay 70,000 naira to their caregivers. And some people have more than, the other day, the secretary to the Federation,
the government of the Federation, George
Akume says he cannot pay his drivers, all 4 drivers, 200,000 naira. Nobody's saying you should pay them 200,000, but why do you have 4 drivers? That's the question.
Who do they drive?
Who do they drive? Exactly. And then we're talking about cutting down on the
cost of governance. Right.
You know, so let's just do right. You have so many nannies you can't afford to pay. You need to cut down as well, so that you can do right by the few that you have, so that you don't even have people who will go out of their way or go all out to endanger your life and endanger the lives of, you know, your loved ones, children.
I think that's quite an important point to make, Queen. Thank you. So let's take it to, closer to the foot of the paper this morning. Still talking about the Daily Times. All right. Says FG plans to digitalize 80% of government activities by 2025. We've heard this before, but then again, 2025 is not forever, just next year. Courts orders INEC not to release voter register to QUISEC for September 21 LG polls. That's for Kwara State Independent Electoral Commission. Military revises condition of service to enhance efficiency, according to DHQ, Defense Headquarters. All right. What's more, last one here says prioritize existing airports infrastructure, economic stimulus to revive aviation sector. Experts, all right, and that's all we have for you from the Daily Times. But then the Guardian is up next. Let's take a look at the Guardian, everyone.
On the front page of the Guardian newspaper, we have quite a number of stories. Anytime I see the Guardian newspaper, just remember that this happens to be your
my go-to
your go-to paper because of the arrangement of the images and all that, the fonts. Big story on The Guardian says, refiners get crude for Naira deal amid fuel scarcity. Seam blockade ferry, okay. And then we have organized CSOs say no amount of threats can stop nationwide protest. APC appeals for patience over temporary hardship. Nigerians can now buy a bag of rice at 40,000 naira. No need for protest, says federal government.
Right.
OPS tasks Tinubu on promises as 70,000 naira minimum wage becomes law. And then 19 parties reject local government electoral commission once SIE says scrapped. Subscribers get reprieve as NCC orders reactivation of lines. These are the stories. And then lastly, we have federal government puts VCs on red alert over planned protest. These are the stories we have on the front page of The Guardian. Our next point of call.
The Nation newspaper. All right, let's see The Nation for you quickly, everyone. First off, the big story reads, a law compels all employers to pay 70,000 naira minimum wage. Two writers, President signs bill, TUC calls for just, fair, consequential adjustment. You know, Queen, that's another issue. You see, minimum wage is for entry-level people. So you're just getting into, let's use the civil service as a case study in this instance. So you're just getting into the civil service. That's what you're expected to pay because you're an entry-level member of staff, so to speak. But then what do you do with people who are already in service? Maybe people on grades, grade levels 8, 9, 10, and all the way up, for example. What do you do about them? So there has to be consequential adjustments for those people as well. And that's why you see when we have conversations around the minimum wage, we must be careful to understand that it's not what civil servants are paid top to bottom. It's called minimum wage. That means you can't pay less, exactly less than that. However, minimum wage is also the baseline for determining what everyone else gets paid going forward. Of course, those in the field of accounting understand the dynamics around, you know, that narrative. But we must understand that for somebody who has done 12, 15, 20 years in the civil service, or even the private sector, organized private sector, that is not expected to receive 70,000 naira, obviously. All right, but let's look at other stories here for you. Big headlines on today's issue of The Nation newspaper. Says tight security in states, FCT over planned protests. Of course, we saw that coming. And then we'll take it further down a little. Igboho slams faceless protesters plotting to destabilize governments. Okay. CJ Nariwola bows out August 22. 30 Nigerian pilgrims died during Hajj. That's quite a sad story there. But you see, Igboho, that's Sunday Igboho, all right, the Yoruba nation, should we say, agitator-in-chief, all right, saying that, slamming faceless protesters for plotting to destabilize government. But you see, it's interesting how people come back to criticize something that they've also exploited, sometimes in ways that are extreme and unpalatable. It wasn't 200 years ago, just a matter of 2 years ago, that Sunday Igboho made it to the news, front pages of newspaper, internet, everywhere else, all right, for leading an agitation to say the Southwest needs to secede from Nigeria, all right? That was violent at the time. We saw a part of it that became violent and became very concerning for not just citizens, but even governments. So how you come around to slam those who want to protest, I think the conversation somebody like Sunday Igboho should be having is, let's make this as peaceful as possible, all right? Let's be sure that we do not take the laws into our hands while we're doing all of this, because where Queen Agaba's rights stop, that's where Uyi Agumofugbe's own begin. That's the kind of conversation we should be expecting from him. So we don't set double standards, all right? Because we know how he was so embattled at the time. He fled. He was in a bid to flee to Germany. He got trapped in Benin Republic, was arrested and detained there. And we have an idea the amount of work that went into securing his release, and then now he's back to Nigeria and he's slamming faceless protesters. So let's be sure, without sentiment, the kind of conversations we're having, so that we don't set multiple standards. We set one standard for this person, set a different standard for someone else, all right? Then above the name masts this morning of The Nation newspaper, it says NCC directs telcos to restore bad lines. That is already working. 10,000 police recruits begin training August 10. And lastly, one with a picture of the chairman of Aliko, of the Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, says federal government okays sale of crude to Dangote others in Naira. We're waiting to see how that will pan out going forward, because the man has been lamenting the last couple of weeks about this same issue, but it seems with this directive from the president now, reprieve it's on its way. So let's turn to the Punch newspaper quickly and bring you other headlines there.
On the front page of the Punch newspaper, big story, hardship protest. Security agencies begin massive soldier police deployment. The writer there says, NPF plans operations on red alert. NCOs fortifies custodial centers. NSCDC deploys 30,000 personnel. Tinubu means well, let's give him time to rescue Nigeria. Tunji Ojo. NIN linkage, NCC orders SIM restoration as angry subscribers protest. I would have joined that protest yesterday if there was no restoration, because I woke up on a Sunday morning, and I have to, it was quite inconveniencing for me waking up and discovering that my lines were barred for NIN linkage, which I had done a long time ago. And so I was able to connect using Wi-Fi. And when I did, I saw a link by which you can go and reactivate or link your NIN again. So I had to redo that again. I did that. I was told successful activation, successful or something like that. But my lines were still barred. If there was no restoration, I don't know for what reason that must have happened, why a lot of lines were barred all of a sudden, including those who had linked their NIN with their SIM cards. It would have been a story of, the government is trying to frustrate the efforts of protesters so that there will be no communication, people having to join queues, and all of that. But I like that the needful was done. I don't know what that was. I want to believe that it was a technical error, that, lines that have already been registered and linked with NIN was still barred. So I want to believe it's a technical error, and I hope that there will be no repeats, especially in times like this. It was really very inconvenient.
It also gives the telcos an ample opportunity, maybe a second chance, to double check their systems, because it's embarrassing and, like you said, extremely inconveniencing for somebody like myself, for example, to have already linked successfully, because I double checked and they said it was successfully linked. To have to go to one office, go to one customer service or experience center, because, I have work to do.
Yes, and then we saw the queue yesterday at one of the customer care centers where
it was rowdy.
Rowdy. People having to leave their jobs, leave their work, because it's very important that you communicate. And there are people whose job is hinged on communication. They can't go to work if they cannot have, access.
Thank God for Wi-Fi.
Thank God for Wi-Fi. And how about those who are constrained?
Who don't have it, right?
Yes, it happens. So still on the Daily Sun, the Punch rather. On the Punch newspaper, we have Keyamo directs suspension of NAME's 800% charge hike. And also we have PSC invites 10,000 new constables for training in August. 32 arrested for attacking federal government inspection team. Also, Abuja politicians feeling banditry, says Benue State Governor. These are the stories we have. Labour excited as Tinubu says 70,000 naira minimum wage bill, signs 70,000 naira minimum wage bill. That's all we have on the front page of the Punch.
Takes us to this day, Okay, big story is the first port of call on the front page of this day newspaper. 48 hours to go, countrywide interventions against protests mount, youths adamant. Interesting how this story has 8 riders. I think that's the highest number of riders I've seen in my lifetime. About the nameplate, it says NCC orders immediate reactivation of lines barred by telcos. What's more, Tinubu directs NNPCL to commence crude oil sale to Dangote, others in Naira. Tinubu signs 70,000 Naira minimum wage bill into law amid unease over planned protests. Again, this is part of efforts being made by government to quell, or if you like, douse tension. But you see, Queen, I think sometimes maybe in error, or we just don't get intentional enough about it. We don't seem to highlight some of the things government is doing. Some of us will feel like, okay, well, why did government have to wait this long? But the point is that this is better late than never. That's number one. Number two is the minimum wage issue has been on long before these protests was even proposed, I guess. All right. So now that has been signed, now that government is telling us rice is now going to be sold for 40,000 naira per 50 kg of rice, bag. Now that the federal government is telling us that protesters can go ahead and do their thing as long as they don't get rowdy, violent, take the laws into their hands, and all of that. Are these steps not also commendable for whatever it's worth? It may not be far-reaching enough, but are they not commendable?
Absolutely, they are absolutely commendable. We like that we see these actions taken immediately. Bag of rice is now 40,000 naira for a 50 kg bag, and the minimum wage has been signed. 70,000 naira minimum wage. They're commendable, but for how long is this going to be? We want to see that this is long lasting. So a bag of rice is not sold for 40,000 naira today, and by next week we're even way higher than the
where we're coming from,
70,000 naira per bag. So we want to see a situation where now that it's said so, it continues. It's long lasting, so that it will cushion the effect of the hardship we're experiencing now. But I must commend the government for taking decisive and prompt action amidst the rumors and agitations for protest.
I think that's worth saying, all right. But we have the next paper now. That's the Vanguard newspaper for you. Let's turn to the Vanguard quickly and bring you all of the headlines, which will be our last paper for this morning.
On the front page of the Vanguard, big story still on hardship. Nigerians have the right to protest. Presidency says Nigerians have the right to protest. And also, we have just above the nameplate of the Vanguard newspaper that above the nameplate, we have barring of phone lines heightens tensions amid protest scare. Riders, they're quite tiny. Zenith Bank set to raise 290 billion naira capital through rights issue and public offer. Gunmen abduct monarch son. 5 others kill customs officer in Sokoto and Kebbi. Tinubu directs NNPCL to sell crude to Dangote and others in Naira. It's time to deal with criminality and restore peace in Northwest. Governor Sani there. And hardship, Igboho moves against nationwide protest. Like you rightly said, it is... it's funny how we see these people who, of course, were agitating for a peaceful protest, but it's quite funny how we see these people who, during their time, use this protest as a tool to communicate and, get their attention
of the authorities.
Yes, the attention of the authorities, I beg your pardon. And now we see these same people come out to say that, they're against these same protests.
On what grounds?
Yes, on what grounds? Especially, particularly when it has to do with the fate and the pains of Nigerians in this at this point in time. So, for what reason he's saying he's shunning the protest, we don't know yet, but he's agitated that there'll be no protest. This is our final paper, and on that note, this is where we draw the curtains on our newspaper review. We'll take a quick break now, and when we return, our guest will be here to take us through topical issues on the front page of the newspaper. Do stay with us, we'll be right back.
Abuja Rail Mass Transit is a regional rail transport system in the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria. It is the second rapid transit system in West Africa. The first phase of the project connects the city center to Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, stopping at the Abuja-Kaduna Railway Station in Ido, with more than 2,000 passengers boarding per day. The Abuja Metro Station project, which has been idle for years, was commissioned in 2018 by former President Muhammadu Buhari, and on May 29, 2024, President Bola Tinubu flagged it off for commercial operations. According to the design of the rail, the project is to cover a total distance of 290 kilometers and is meant to be developed in 6 phases.
The facilities we have now is modern facilities. We have what we call DMU, diesel multiple unit, popularly called locomotives. And we have 12 DMU, and each DMU consists of 4 locomotives. So, in other words, we have 48 locomotives on ground now. And the tracks, they are, double, gauge tracks. So, and you can see the stations. They are modern stations. So far, so good. We have recorded over 30,000 passengers since we started 30th of May 2024.
The Abuja Rail Transit has a future expansion of Lot 2 from Gwagwa via Transportation Center to Nyanya Karu. Lot 4 is from Kuje to Kashi, with the remaining legs of the transit way in Line 2. Lot 5 from Kubwa via Buari to Suleja. Lot 6 from Airport via Kuje and Gwagwalada to Dobi.
This is actually my first time boarding a train, and I'm so happy and so glad for the federal government to bring this into Abuja, and this is really, really, really a nice experience for me.
The train is clean, and as you can see, the securities inside there are doing their work. The federal government, I will commend them on this particular development because it's a welcome development in the city centers of Abuja. So people who are coming from the Basanjua to the city centers, who are working in the central areas, they find it very, very easy because due to the cost of the transportation now, fuel cost is too high. People cannot actually afford to use their vehicles to go to work every morning. So they are using the means of this fast light rail to go to their workplaces.
I've been on board of the train for more than 11 times, and I feel good that the government provide for us a free and reliable transport for everybody.
Or at least on this one, they did very well.
We are already live inside the train, about to move in less than 5 minutes down to the airport, which is the final stop for today's. And of course, the experience right here, the passengers already boarding, is quite electrifying, giving a lot of commentaries about how they feel about the train. Generally, this is also in a bid by the federal government to cushion a lot of transportation pressure on the residents of the Federal Capital Territory. And we can see the passengers are already boarding, sitting behind, and having a feel of what the train really looks like. For some of them, this is the first time, but for others, it has been on operations right from 30th May till today. They have been boarding the train to and fro. And this is also a way of also encouraging the fact that the experience of the train station and the fact that the security right here is also safe for the passengers.
The commencement of commercial operations of the Abuja Rail Mass Transit project is to solve the perennial transportation problem in the Federal Capital Territory and its adjoining towns and cities. The project will also be a reliable alternative to road transport, help alleviate traffic congestion in Abuja, and reduce strains associated with heavy traffic. The light rail system will also provide mobility for residents to access various parts of the city, as well as support social inclusion and provides greater access to employment, education, and healthcare facilities.
Global television is people's television. It's for the people. They focus on the content of deliverables.
Global Television, channel 365 on your DSTV, the station to watch for your news and current affairs. Hey!
This is Global Television, channel 365 on DSTV, the station to watch for your news and current affairs.
This is Global Television, channel 365 on DSTV, a station to watch for current affairs and other societal news. Keep watching live.
Watching Global TV on DSTV channel 365, where don't touch it down, just watch.
This is Global TV. Keep watching on channel 365 on DSTV station and listening to the latest updates. Yay!
This is Global Television on DSTV, channel 365. Keep watching. Yay!
So frankly speaking, it is now time for Nigeria to see that Global TV has come and has come to stay.
Just 1 year. This is a plus for Global Television.
My take on Global TV presence on DSTV, first of all, I must say is a great feat. And in this new age, it takes technology to take over. I believe that Global TV coming into the arena will change the context of international broadcasting in Nigeria.
But I believe that Global TV has come not just to give us anything but the truth and the valued information that we need at hand.
I think Global TV presence will make a very great difference among all other channels. Their presence now on DSTV stations is going to make a very lot of difference among others.
Really believe with the pedigree and the reputation Global TV has gathered for themselves for the last 1 year of their being in existence and being in operation, they are really going to change, have a lot of impact on the digital perspective of TV broadcasting.
New height with this new feat, you are actually going to make us proud, especially within the content that you are delivering for the Nigerian people.
Global TV concept is the emerging, brand that everybody must watch. So I subscribe, and I'm prescribing that we must all be ready to begin to watch Global TV.
So keep watching Global TV, especially for updates on agriculture, food, commodities, and without food, there is no great nation.
So please watch Global TV because it's going to change your life.
Are you ready to be entertained like never before? Get ready to dive into the latest and greatest entertainment news in lifestyle, music, movies, birthday celebration, and so much more, all on Entertainment Circle on Global Television. From the hottest red carpet event to exclusive interviews with your favorite stars, we've got you covered. Stay up to date with the latest trends and news from the entertainment world, all in one place. Tune in every Saturday by 1 p.m. with Chong Annabelle Joseph on Global Television.
For an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions, Big Talk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights, from thought-provoking discussions to actionable insight,
What is the real responsibility of government?
Big Talk delves deep into the heart of the matter. Join us weekdays on Global Televisions from 6:30 p.m. for a reverting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society.
Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are definitely. Can we not say that them because
that this country gets it right?
Who are these bandits? It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
Hello, children. Gather around, let me tell you a story.
Do you know that stories have a way of captivating the minds of children, bringing fun and imagination to teach them morals? Join Sharon Ajay as she takes you to explore the thrilling and exciting world of storytelling.
I'll be sharing with you our next interesting story. Tune in every Saturday on Global Television, time 5:30 p.m.
It's time for sports' biggest moments on Global Television. The headlines, scores, breaking news and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns and victories. Talk sports with the king of sports, Anthony Momodu. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
Global TV concept is the emerging, brand that everybody must watch. So I subscribe, and I'm prescribing that we must all be ready to begin to watch Global TV.
So keep watching Global TV, especially for updates on agriculture, food, commodities, and without food, there is no great nation.
So please watch Global TV because it's going to change your life.
With every government and introduction of new policies, businesses of all kinds and sizes seize the opportunity to evolve and redefine themselves. Business Point on Global Television is where we follow the money and put the facts and figures right in front of you. Watch Business Point every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. as Kikelamo Okeri tracks all the latest developments across critical sectors. Business Point, this is business.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television, getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team. Get ready for it. Inside Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds.
Join Juma and Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and they repeat every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out. Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here. In an ever-busy world, the increasing challenge of keeping track of health matters can be extremely demanding. Follow the latest health tips and trends on Health Guide on Global Television on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Health Guide on Global Television. Put your health first.
Are you a food lover? Do you care about your health and nutrition? Are you interested in exploring the diverse culinary traditions from around the world? Then look no further. Introducing Lunch Global on Global Television, a show that takes you on a delicious journey through the world.
Bode Fadikwe is a lawyer and public affairs analyst. He's here to just join us to weigh in on the planned nationwide protest that is already scheduled to begin on the 1st of August, which is on Thursday, and that's just a matter of less than 48 hours away. Plus, there has been series of interventions in this regard. One, to ensure that the protest either doesn't hold or to minimize whatever chaos might follow this demonstration. The second is that we have seen a flurry of, if you like, interference, for want of better words, by many key stakeholders across the country, whether they are religious, political, ethnic, or even traditional, to ensure that those who are behind this protest, many of whom have been called faithless, have a rethink and then decide to shun this. But as it stands right now, I think even the government itself understands that that isn't working. So what we have seen the last 48 hours essentially has been several calls saying that please, by all means, do your protest, but be sure that you take responsibility for your actions. Make sure that you do not take the laws into your hands. But as always, it's a delight to have you on the program.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning, viewers.
I'd like us to begin from what your thoughts are about this protest and, more importantly, the circumstances that have occasioned it.
I think it's important for us to establish the fact that when people feel dissatisfied, they have a responsibility to express their anger. There's no doubt about that. One of the fundamental reasons for the law, for the law court, is for you to go there and express your grievances. So you are not resorting to self-help. The essence of law is for society to be orderly governed, is to have orderliness in the society. But we also recognize the fact that it is not at all times that you have that situation of order in the society. And one of those times is a situation like this where people are angry over governance and several other issues. Public policy implementation and how it affects them. Every human being, from the presidency to the last man on the line, the first thing he will ask himself in any situation is, what is in this for me? Any policy. And that's why you see that if you study HR, if you're an HR person, when it comes to the issue of succession, the MD and the HR person, they are always a little bit uncomfortable, because even the MD is asking himself, will this succession plan lead to my exit from this organization? So it's always the issue of what is in it for me. If we look at the history of Nigeria, let's go as far back as what led to the 1966 to 1970 Civil War. It was also some form of protest against perceived bad governance. And then the subsequent reactions. Even the Igbos that said they were exiting Nigeria, they were protesting what they perceived to be a marginalization or oppression of their own right. Until today, they are still on that course. They are still saying, let us go, allow us to go. We are not feeling comfortable with this union. It's a form of protest. So for me, we have enough records to look at to judge whether this one that is being planned for August 1st is suitable or not. Let me say it again and again. Nobody should stifle any person with discontent. Rather, listen to him. That is the hallmark of leadership. Listen to him and hear why he's angry. And then explain to him what you have been doing to make sure that it does not get to that point. It's not at all times that leaders are right. It's not everything that leaders do that manifests in the form that followers want it to manifest. There is a gestation period. Now, having come to that point, the next question the person who wants to protest should ask himself is, assuming without considering that I still need to protest, is there any other way I can engage in this protest?
An alternative.
An alternative. We know clearly for a very long time in this country that most public protests have resulted into wanton destruction of public property. The latest being 2020, when we had the NSAS. And I ask the question, which other part of the country suffered as much as the economic capital of Nigeria? Because forget about the issue of whether the predominant ethnic group in Lagos is Yoruba, whether they are the ones that are the sons of the soil. The fact remains that Lagos is the economic capital of this, or the commercial capital of this country. Just as you have the South being the economic capital, because that's where we get the bulk of what is sustaining our economy. Abuja remains the political seat of government. Now, so if we mess up Lagos, as is likely to happen, where are we going to get the money to repair? Have we even recovered from what happened in 2020? Have we recovered from that? So for me, anyone going on the street, and in any case, properties will be brought back over a period of time. No life can be brought back after it has been lost. No life can be brought back. So we need to sit back. For me, the problem I see here is, one, we no longer have thinkers. Two, we no longer have people with public credibility. As bad as you may want to tag Fela, imagine that Fela comes out, who has been an identity for moral uprightness, and he says, gentlemen, hold your peace. You think they will not listen to Fela? How many Nigerians today can stand in the public place on the rostrum as Gani Fawehinmi will stand and say, gentlemen, I know you are angry, but can you calm down? Let me go and speak on your behalf. I can imagine people raising their fists and say, look, anybody that protests here, if I is a protester, that will beat the protester. Because they believe in them, because they trust them, because they have seen them fight for them. And Awolowo standing up to say, look, gentlemen, I feel your pain, but can you give me some? Because they have seen his track record. Where are the thinkers in this country? Where are the men of moral uprightness in this country that can speak? Can a father who is involved in adultery speak to the daughter who is involved in fornication? Is it possible? The moral right is not there. Or the father who has slept with the daughter and is telling the daughter, you can't sleep, you can't smoke Indian hemp or take hard drug. Where is the moral right? But you see, we also must realize that we need to have a country to fix a country.
Do we have a country right now?
I think we still have a country. We still have a country. What we should avoid is to make sure that we don't have a country. It's to make sure that this country does not sleep. And we must realize one fact, and that is the fact of population in this country. Even America is feeling it right now. that more Nigerians are exiting. Canada is feeling it. Australia is feeling it. Germany is feeling it. Europe is feeling it. Not to talk of when we, God forbid, that we slide into greater anarchy. It's still okay now that, yes, bread is costly, petrol is costly, but we're not shooting ourselves. God forbid that things degenerate. I saw some of, as I hope it is not the demand of the protesters, but some of them are saying, remove the perimeter fence around the villa because we want to enter the villa. I mean, that does not make a reasonable demand for me. You say you are protesting hunger and you are selling t-shirt for 6,000 naira. That's almost a tuber of yam now for those who go to the market. A tuber of yam is almost 6,500.
So there's an economic angle to the protest.
So which leads me to my other point, that there are those who are benefiting from anarchy, from chaos. There is no way that this protest will go on and people will not take advantage of it to loot. Those whose properties are looted, who is going to compensate them? Because there is no insurance cover for mob action. There's no insurance.
Anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world. There's no insurance company you go to that they say they are giving you cover for mob action. Because it has no control. So I think very strongly that we need to sit back. Whoever their sponsors are, it's unfortunate our nation has dragged to this point. This is not something that started with this administration. It didn't even start with the Buhari administration or the Jonathan administration. The rain started beating us a long time ago. And we are I think we are more than 60 years now. And we want to correct that in 13 months. Excuse me. While I agree that people should protest, I also think very strongly, and this is my position, we need to be methodological in our protest. We need to sit back and strategize and say, imagine for instance that we all choose to sit down at home for 1 week and say, government, fine, that's your position, we need to save money. I'm sitting at home for 1 week. I couldn't come up with my car this morning. Why am I going to get money to buy fuel for 1,300 as it is being rumored now?
I want to ask you something before Queen steps in. How much of confidence or otherwise do you have in the directive of the IG of police to DIGs and commissioners of police to provide cover for the protesters? Because your colleague, Adegboruwa SN, had written to the IG requesting cover for protesters. As a matter of fact, he has a meeting with the IG in Abuja this morning. The IG has said formally to the DIGs and the CPs to say provides cover for protesters across the country. Of course, that wasn't his position earlier, a few days prior to this time. Do you have confidence that the police will be able to do the needful under these circumstances?
My fear is that they don't have the manpower to do that. That's one. Two, the public sensitization for that kind of thing has not been done. If you want a situation where the police will provide cover for protesters, you would have started sensitizing that, gentlemen, we are protesting but we are not destroying anything. The police will be there, because in some protests, the mere fact that police is there is a source of anger. I don't know whether you see what I'm saying. The mere fact that some of us have been in student union, student protest. The mere fact that you see police at all can trigger anything. So at times the police even wants to stay away. But the population of those that will come out, the police does not have the manpower to restrain them if things go southwards. So for me, I think while I'm not undermining the professional competency of the police, I think we'll be asking for too much if we say let them even provide protection. Because there will always be miscreants that will want to take advantage of a situation of this nature. Let's be honest. We are 10 men. Imagine that you are playing a football match and your men have been reduced to 5 and you are playing against 11. How do you match the other party? The police does not have the population of Nigeria. They don't have the population of Nigeria. Why did they have to recall their men from the VIP?
Non-essential duties.
Non-essential duty. Is it not because they are understaffed? So why are we asking for community policing? Is it not because we know that the police does not have enough manpower? Their professional competency is not in doubt at all. But the statement of the IG that they should provide cover for the protesters is, I have confidence in it, but operationally it may be a bit difficult.
Now we see in the US and in Canada they sending messages warning their nationals in Nigeria as they sense some likelihood of violence in this protest. And like you've rightly said, that the police might not be able to adequately provide cover for the protest. But I want to ask, from previous protests that we've seen, particularly the NSAS protest in 2020, what lessons have we learned from those previous protests in the past that we can be applicable to this protest that's going to happen?
I think a fundamental lesson is that anything can happen at any time. The protesters in 2020 claim that some people were killed. Some are saying,
at the Lekki toll gate.
Yes. Some are saying, show us the families that lost anybody. So, at the end of the day, one of the lessons that we must learn is that anything can happen at any time. And because of the unpredictability of mob action, of crowd reaction, I think we must sit back and manage the situation in a better form. And I think, I don't know of any for now, but I think one better way of doing it is to say, look, those who are regarded as people that are respected in the society should speak and say, look, gentlemen, can we just hold on a little bit? I expect that between today and tomorrow, the president should address the nation. It's serious enough.
Would that pacify these protesters?
It should have its own effect. I mean, on those who are still neutral till now. In election, there are three people: the opposition, those who are voting for, and those who are neutral. So there are still some people who are neutral till now, who are saying, I may not. So if the president is going to address the nation, his speech writers must be very careful. It's not the time for belligerence. It's not the time for bellicosity. No, it's the time to appeal emotions. Gentlemen, I feel your pain. My wife goes to the market. You may not know it, but I also sneak into the market occasionally.
At least she has a garden at the villa.
I mean,
right.
I was just going to mention that point. Even if I don't go to the market for security reasons, because you also have said that you also have restricted my movement, because they are also restricted.
Right.
People go to the market on my behalf and they bring bills. I have family members who don't live in the villa. They complain to me. I feel your pain. But let's look at our history. Where are we coming from? What is my intention for you? Where are we going to? Nobody goes into the labor room and smile. No matter how easy the bet is. Nobody. You come out with some bit of pain. Even if it is through CS that you are drugged and you lose consciousness for that period. Let's go ahead.
We understand that, like you rightly said, nobody goes into the labor room and comes out smiling. It's a tough journey right there. But Nigerians particularly have been concerned with, since the administration of President Bola Tinubu, since he assumed office, that even though things were difficult, we expect some level of relief in terms of, we know that we're going through difficult times, but prices of essentials, food items, would not skyrocket the way it did. We've had analysts come here to say that, this, while we know that we're transitioning, it's not going to be smooth, but not as difficult as it is. Don't you think that Nigerians are triggered by the fact that the hardship is enormous?
If you look at the indicators, you cannot but agree with your submission. I mean, bread. Let's not even look at luxury goods, cars and things like that. By the way, there is nothing you sell today that the replacement cost will not be different. So if you had a car and you sell it now, if you want to buy another car, you will have to add perhaps 100% of how much you sold it. So replacement cost is a different thing entirely. But let's even look at household goods, food items especially.
Right.
Bread moving from 300 to about 1,006 now.
2,000.
or 2,000, depending on where you live, because geography also affects price. Okay. The issue of petrol subsidy is a fundamental issue. The floating of the naira is a fundamental issue. One would have thought that given the effect of those two indicators on the economy generally, government would have first of all sat back to say, before I do this, can we look at the data again? Can we look at the figures again? Can we run the numbers? And this is where the issue of thinking comes in for me. Now, but the moment Mr. President stepped on the rostrum, he said subsidy was gone. For me, that was like getting a BP patient whose BP had been up there. Because you want to save life, you just hit with a shot to crack, and in the process, you even lost the patient. That statement was a major shock.
And markets reacted immediately?
Immediately. The market reacted immediately, and it has not found its feet since then.
Absolutely.
2, petrol has effect on practically everything.
Right.
Particularly from transportation, bringing food items. Don't forget the fact that we were already suffering the side effect of insecurity that has affected our farm produce. Farmers could not go to the farm. They could not move. I mean, first they could not go to the farm. Even the little that we now have became costly to move to the selling points. And so by the time the cost of petrol shot from 195 to about 600 to 700 naira, there was no way that things will not become costly as they are today. Egg today is 200 naira. One, I don't know where you live, but I know that one egg is 200 naira. That you used to buy for maybe 20 naira or at best 50 naira before. I mean, if you want to buy akara now, kose, the thing is like, it's not even as big as table tennis ball. The ones I don't know about you guys, but I still walk on the street to buy some of these things. What am I saying? More money chasing few goods. So I would have thought that at least for the first 3 months, you run the numbers, you get your thinkers together and say, look, gentlemen, this is what is happening. It's not sustainable. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? We didn't start this, but we have a responsibility because government is a continuum. When Okonjo Iweala cried in federal cabinet the other day to say, look, let's save because the days of rain are coming. 2 governors
under the Jonathan government.
Yes, 2 governors spearheaded the attack and said, no, the rain is already beating us.
Bring the sovereign wealth fund.
Bring the umbrella now, which is the sovereign wealth fund.
Right.
And we frittered away the opportunity to save. What is happening in Nigeria is not unique to Nigeria. I must let you know. It's a global problem. But those ones have been able to get ready. Like buying warm clothing items in readiness for winter. We didn't buy our warm clothing items. By the time winter came, we were still in our singlet, in our briefs.
As though it's summer.
As though it's summer. Now we are crying.
And that's why I think Nigerians have lost faith in the process. And what I'm asking now is, do you think dialogue or a statement from the president would be able to stop angry protesters?
It's a starting point, but it's not sufficient. It's a starting point. Because whatever you want to tell us, you should have started telling us from May last year until now. And then it's not enough to talk. It is more sufficient. Permit me to go the Christian way. Say, when you say I love you, it's not enough to express it. You must also demonstrate it. For God's sake, I can't understand why members of the National Assembly will be driving a car that is as costly as 160 million or whatever it is in this kind of economy. can't we go for lesser cars? Somebody will say our roads are bad. Who left? Where is the money to do it?
One of them said the roads to his senatorial district are almost non-motorable, so he needs an SUV that is if you like, sophisticated.
Fantastic excuse. So what if we decide to say, okay, let's save money from everybody and do your own and do it gradually? And see, the problem we have in this country is that we are treating this nation, this land, as if it offended us, as if we have any other place most of us can go to when things go southwards. We treat it like a market. Look, by evening time, 6 p.m., 7 p.m., we all go back home. That's the way we are treating this country. And it's unfair. It's unfair.
Okay, so I think one thing that is fair at this point for us to take a quick break, everyone. And when we return, we'll switch gears in this conversation, and that will happen shortly. Do stay with us.
So frankly speaking, it is now time for Nigerians to see that Global TV has come and has come to stay.
Just 1 year. This is a plus for Global Television.
My take on Global TV presence on DSTV, first of all, I must say is a great feat. And in this new age, it takes technology to take over.
I believe that Global TV coming into the arena will change the context of international broadcasting in Nigeria.
But I believe that Global TV has come not just to give us anything but the truth and the valued information that we need at hand.
I think Global TV presence will make a very great difference among all other channels. Their presence now on DSTV stations is going to make a very lot of difference among others.
Really believe with the pedigree and the reputation Global TV has gathered for themselves for the last 1 year of their being in existence and being in operation, they are really going to change, have a lot of impact on the digital perspective of TV broadcasting.
New height with this new feat, you are actually going to make us proud, especially within the content that you are delivering for the Nigerian people.
So, but I was going to ask you this. Maybe we'll just switch angles a little. When you heard someone in the person of Bayo Onanuga, SA Media and Strategy, to the president say, I mean, that Peter Obi is one of the major sponsors of this protest. What was your first reaction instinctively to that?
Well, for me, if Peter Obi has been identified as one of the major sponsors, the first question is, does he have a legal right to do that kind of thing? Whether he does or not, I would expect that, or my first reaction was that, okay, government, call him to find out what the problem is. The election is over. The courts, you have gone to court. The court has decided. Is it to say that you don't have confidence in the pronouncement of the Supreme Court, that you now want to instigate a protest? Is there anything that you want government to hear that you don't have opportunity to tell government, whether by coming to the villa and say, look, Mr. President, yes, I contested the election with you, but election is over. It is now the nation. This is my feeling, this is my feeling, this, or you call a press conference and address the press and state everything that you want to state. So that was my first reaction. So for me, the window of opportunity for discussion with government is still open. I don't think if Obi is actually the one, because it's still an allegation as far as I'm concerned, if Mr. Peter Obi is actually the sponsor of this protest, I don't think is doing well for this country.
Why do we say the protests, the organizers are faceless when we have seen someone, Ebun Adegberuwa is a frontline human rights activist in this country, senior lawyer, yes. Advocate of Nigeria. And then we have heard people like Omoyele Sowore also throwing his way behind it. Is it still appropriate on that level to say the protesters, the organizers are faceless?
I think initially they said they were faceless, but I also know that the DSS has come out to say that we have identified the sponsor. So I think government has moved away from saying they are faceless. And they have moved to the point of saying, okay, we have identified the sponsors. What they have now done with them or what they are doing with them is what they may not have told us. But I know that DSS has come out to say, and I know that DSS reports directly to Mr. President. So if DSS will come out to say that they have identified the sponsors, I think that's Mr. President's voice saying that I know those who are behind this. What he now wants to do with them is a different ball game entirely. Whether he wants to go into a discussion with them to find out what exactly the issues are, or he wants to adopt the hard path of the law to say, okay, look, whatever you are doing is a breach of the law, or if there's any breach, you'll be held responsible vicariously. It depends largely on what government wants to do. But I don't think they are still faceless again. They are no longer faceless.
Mr. Fadipe, for the most part, what you have advocated for is, a peaceful way to dialogue or most likely sit at home so that the president listens. But what do you think the outcome of this protest would be? And if the demands of Nigerians who are protesting are not met, what do you think? What are the broader implications?
I don't want to speculate, but it will be grievous. I will expect, because again, in communication there's opportunity for feedback. Now, protest is a form of feedback. So I will expect government to say, okay, look, this is a feedback for me. What are the issues? What are the issues? What are the issues? For instance, cost of living is very high. So what is government doing and what can government do? One of the things that government has done in the last 2 weeks is to ferry several trailer loads of rice to different parts of the country. And somebody will ask, what have you been waiting for? Because a bag of rice is about 80,000 now, if not more than that. And I saw a story yesterday or 2 days ago saying that they are ferrying them to different centers where they will be sold at 40,000 naira.
For 50 kg of bag.
50 kg bag of rice. And somebody will ask, then again, what is the distribution mechanism? How are we sure that people will actually get it? And people, again, we must also understand one fact. Nigerians are their own biggest enemies. Government will release these items. Some people will go and hoard it and then resell it again.
There are videos, of course, there are videos out already of people rebagging
and selling.
Of rice.
The ones that they said it's not for sale, they are removing the bags and they are, so for me, both the leadership and the followership were complicit. So, and we need to come to that point. I think we really need to sit down, call the elders of the community. When situations go back in the community, the elders sit down and say, what do we do? They bring the youth, they bring everybody. What do we do? That national conference during Jonathan's period, we need to revisit it.
But the president, some people argue, has started with the Oronsaye report. Is that a good step in the right direction?
Oronsaye report is just bureaucracy, federal bureaucracy. He didn't talk to the state.
No.
He didn't speak to the state. Oronsaye was purely how to cut down on federal expenses, not the state expenses. The confab during Jonathan's period goes beyond federal expenses. It speaks to fiscal federalism. Oronsaye did not discuss that. And what is fiscal federalism? The resources in my community, how do I benefit from it? We have concentrated attention on crude oil since 1956, but we have also seen clearly that in different parts of the country, take Nasarawa State behind us, for instance, one of the items used in manufacturing our phones is in a sufficient quantity in that community. In Sokoto, in Zamfara, and different parts of the north, we have different types of mineral that we are sitting on in this country. Why can't we commercialize these things and let different states benefit from these states? So as far as I'm concerned, it requires that we all sit down and renegotiate so many things about ourselves. It may not be so easy to go back to what Chief Emeka Anyaoku, former Secretary General of the Commonwealth, said, that we go back to regionalism. It may not be as easy as that, but we can get our thinkers. I keep saying it. We need thinkers. We can get our thinkers to sit back. Look at this local government issue, for instance. The moment federal government went to court, I knew the Supreme Court would decide in favor of the federal government.
Why?
Fine. Because the Supreme Court is also a court of public policy. If we have tried to get governors to give them money that comes through the governors, and they are not giving them the money, and this is money allocated to them, then you must find a solution to it. Is either a political solution or a legal solution. Buhari came by way of order, executive order. It didn't work. They negotiated it politically. It didn't work. And then the Tinubu administration went to court. So for me, while they were going to court, I would have expected them to sit back and say, okay, look, what are the legal minds in this country? This is our pleadings. Examine it. Look at the defense of the states, because they took the states to court, and then try to predict the mind of the Supreme Court. In those days, and it's not a tradition that has been removed. In those days, one thing that was common in the judiciary was what you call amicus curiae. The Supreme Court will invite men of that they have confidence in. They will invite them to come and address them on a particular issue. I remember the Land Use Act. The former Vice Chancellor of University of Lagos, what's his name now? He's late now. Oh my God, I've forgotten his name. He was an authority on land matters. He was invited by the Supreme Court to come and address the full session of the court before they could take a decision. Invite men to say, okay, look, if I would have even expected the Supreme Court to invite people who are authority on local government administration before they took that decision, say, address us on this matter, address us on this matter, address us on this matter, address us on this matter. We will then see the implications. For instance, as we speak today, there are states where the local governments are managed by a caretaker committee, and the Supreme Court says, you cannot give money to caretaker committees.
So what happens going forward?
For their salary of the staff. These are implications that would have sat back to look at very critically, and then as the Supreme Court is taking a decision, we are following with maybe an executive bill for an amendment of Section 162 of the Constitution.
The governors are in a hurry now to quickly want to amend that, but I think he wants to ask a question.
Yes, so we've had various groups come out, call on the president to reassess, particularly the one that is most recent is the Coalition of Northern Growths, who have called out President Bola Tinubu to reassess his tax advisors, economic advisors and tax regime committees, that their councils and the policies is what has put us where we are now. Do you share in that line of thought, thinking now I'm focusing on the fact that you said we need thinkers? Do you think that the economic committees are not doing enough, are not thinking enough in the right direction? Do you think their policies are misguided or has misguided us to where we are today?
No. Well, first and foremost, I'm not an economist, but if we look at the indicators around, let me take my cue from what Professor Kingsley Moghalu said. Professor Kingsley Moghalu came out clearly to say, look, Mr. President, I'm sorry, I don't agree with the Economic Council that you have created, because these are people who have interest. Dangote is there, I think Tony Edumelu is there, and quite a few number of frontline and prominent businessmen in this country. That what I would have expected is core professionals that will have it as their 24/7 business to look at the economy and propose solutions. There is a picture circulating in the social media where Dr. Okonjo-Iweala is quoted to have said, I have tried several times to intervene, but I have been resisted, and it's so sad and things like that. This situation we are in currently is not beyond human capacity to resolve. It only requires the willpower. Now, if the current economic team and tax consultants have advised government and we are where we are, it means there is something possibly intrinsically wrong with their approach. Can we look at this matter from another angle? Can we look at... I remember, I think I read a comment credited to former President Olusegun Obasanjo, where he said, you cannot fight the IMF, but you may not need them as a friend, but you cannot fight them. So when they bring policies to you, when they bring suggestions to you, you look at it critically and weigh it alongside your own local environment. Because part of the problem that people are saying we have is that we are listening too much to the Bretton Woods institutions. And somebody like Professor Perogi, I hope I'm calling that name properly, will tell you that, look, that is the major problem we have. We need homegrown solutions. But again, all of us must be ready to pay the price. Not just the followership alone, both the followership and the leadership. We all must be ready to pay.
Is there a price higher than what Nigerians are paying currently?
There shouldn't be one.
You're making sacrifices.
Or even if there is one, it should be for all of us. I cannot, as a father, be reasonably expected to receive the support of my family if I ask them not to take breakfast, take light lunch, or take heavy lunch, and then take light dinner. And then I will be the one that they will hear is doing party for some other people. I mean, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So for me, even if we have to make more sacrifice, China locked themselves up for several years. Where are they today? They have become the manager of the entire globe. Just one problem in China and they will lock down the whole world.
Right.
We lock down the whole world. So if we choose to do so, we can call ourselves and say, gentlemen, we have gotten to this point. Necessity is the mother of invention. Let's find out how we can do this, how we can solve this problem. Let's find out how we can solve this problem. There are too many things wrong with this environment. Too many things, I can assure you.
I think it's quite a complicated issue, but people have also argued, Barrister Fadigbe, that look, every time we want to protest, the attention is always turned almost completely to the federal government.
Yes.
What are people doing about their respective state governments and state governors? I mean, we know how governors, for example, in the last 2+ decades have, if you like, strangulated the local government system in this country. I can almost tell you, I mean, I'm a broadcast journalist, that most governors are not happy about this Supreme Court verdict because of how it radically changes the narrative for them in practical ways. How do we also push the narrative, not, of course, violently, at the state level, at the subnational level, in such a way that governors begin to sit up, do their job, realizing that they have their own work cut out for them?
The problem did not start today. We centralized everything during the military administration, starting with Aguiyi Ironsi, Decree 34 or so. And that's why I said the confab held during the Jonathan administration must be revisited so that we can remove a lot of power from the center, make the center very unattractive, and then concentrate attention, and then let power devolve to the subnationals, the local government, the state government, and the local administration. Because, like I said off air, Mr. President does not know where the place called Itigidi in this country. I can say it confidently, unless maybe for one reason or the other he had been there. He does not know the place called Itigidi. He didn't go there to campaign. Itigidi is in Cross River State. So for me, part of the problem that we have is our mental orientation. We have been made to believe that everything must come from the center. That's why federal government will have federal secondary schools. But the reason, the factor that gave birth to unity schools can we say it's no longer there? One of the reasons why we had unity school was because we wanted to create a sense of belongingness after the Civil War. That was also why the NYSC was created.
National cohesion.
National cohesion. That's why NYSC will always be happy to celebrate marriage for 2 coppers.
So has that purpose been defeated now?
It has been watered down. The reason for cross-country youth service program has been watered down. I don't see any reason why I need to move from Cross River to Sokoto to go and serve. There's no reason, because the security is not there again. I went to law school in Kano, and I traveled from the south to Kano, and there were days I traveled in the night. I can't dare it again. I cannot. I wanted to go to the academy in 1984. I traveled by train. My uncle picked me up at the train station. I was coming back. My uncle threw me into the train, and I came back to the south. I don't think I have that confidence again. It's only once that I have traveled to Abuja, Kaduna by train. I don't have that confidence again, because the environment has changed.
It's quite interesting.
So we need to move our mindset, and it goes to devolution of powers. It goes to fiscal federalism. When less things, for instance, why do we need at least 36 ministers representing each state?
We say federal character has to be reflected.
We don't need it. We need a lean cabinet. We don't need it. You can group the states and say, okay, let one person represent this region. So that we can cut down at the federal and then concentrate, so that it's a bottom-up approach development system, not top to bottom. Let it be a bottom-up, from the local government to the state government and then to the federal level, rather than from the top to the bottom.
It's interesting. I want to take your mind back again, Barrister Fadik Baichu, the NSAS protest that you made allusion to a while ago. When they stand following that protest, of course, the Lekki saga and all of that, which became very controversial as well. We had seen all of these panels being set up across the country. Again, incidentally, your colleague, Adigboruwa, was one of them, the one in Lagos in particular. Each state had one. As of today, we can't put a finger on how they all turned out and so on and so forth. Now we hear that a protest is being scheduled for between 1st and 10th of August. It's a 10-day period. It's a long time. What are you saying? Should this protest become violent? And we hope it doesn't.
I don't even want it to take place at all in the manner it is being conceptualized or it's being put in the public space. I don't want it in that form at all. I don't even want any panel of inquiry to who killed who shot who.
How much should we compensate
How
with?
much should we compensate? Who gave order to who? The governor called the brigade commander. Oh, the brigade commander does not take order from the governor. I don't want all those things. Life is too sacrosanct. You may think 80 years is a long time. It's not a long time. You may think 100 years is a long time. It's not a long time. It's not. By the time you cross to a certain age level, you know that, when did I become 60? When did I become 70? When did I become 80? You'll be surprised. It's not a long time. And people need to make use of the time that they have. Just as life is sacrosanct, created by God, the life of a nation is also sacrosanct. A friend of mine just came back from Germany, and he said, look, if they say a train will get to where you are by 5 p.m., 3 or 5 minutes to the time, you're already smelling this presence of the train, and it stops right at the station by that 5 p.m. It knows when it wants to leave that station. It will not wait for you. Nobody will stand at the gate and say, Ajangbadi Okukumaiko, pay your money. Nobody will do that trash.
Because it's a system.
It's a system. I can't remember where I was going to yesterday, and I saw people still measuring petrol on the road with keg and putting funnel in. I mean, there are some things I just cannot imagine. When I was in primary school, we were standing on the road to welcome Gowan and Eyadema to Delta State when he was coming to ATM, African Timber and Plywood in Saple. We were waving our flag, singing the Nigeria We Hail Thee. Have we changed from that place? There's no significant difference from when Ogbomudia ruled Midwest to when Godwin Obaseki is ruling Edo State. There's no significant difference.
Why is the pace of development slow?
Because we have stolen the money, we have not been honest, our thinkers are all dead. Nobody wants to pay the price in this country. Everybody wants to get rich overnight. The guy that did not get into the university and became a politician became rich overnight. We celebrate nonsense. and we leave those who are supposed to be celebrated.
Abuja is the capital of Nigeria, apparently, and there is the fear that should anything go wrong, to use your words, if things should go southward, Abuja will probably be worse hits now than Lagos had been in 2020. Is that your sentiment as well?
It depends on the reasonability level of those who are protesting anyway, and then the capacity of the security people to manage the situation. For me, I still think that the words of the president can change a lot of things. I still think this is where the media has a big responsibility, particularly radio, because you and I know as communications people that radio goes further. Yes, today social media has raised the visual portion of communication substantially, okay? But a lot of people can still go around with their little radio, and so government needs to communicate using all languages. I know we are going through pain, but please, can you just hold on a little bit? Parents, can you talk to your children? Children, can you listen to your... I have called my own family today. I told all of them, if you must protest, protest in your house.
Social media.
If I hear any of you come out, I will come to your house to flog you and report you to the police. I've done my own side as a Nigerian. Let every parent, because God forbid, if any mother loses the child, if any father loses the child, and providentially, it's always maybe the only child. Somewhere along the line, at times it's always the only child or a significant member of the family, breadwinner. It may not even be a protester. Maybe it's just walking along, and then he got hit by a stray bullet, and bam, it's gone. The other day, some people graduated, some people wrote their final exam in University of Abuja, and they went on a celebration, Augie of celebration, and he fell from the car and died. Only child. After, when you start Nigerian university, you don't know when you graduate.
Mr. Fadigbe,
I'm sorry I'm being emotional here.
Yes.
But
yeah, it's part of what it is.
We're part of the system as well. But do you think that the administration of President Bola Tinubu, knowing how things have become as compared to how it used to be now, do you think we will be able to, President Bola Tinubu will be able to steer the wheel of Nigeria around again for good? And how long do you think this will take?
You're asking me to be a prophet. And I'll choose to be a prophet of hope rather than a prophet of doom.
No, you can't. You can't say, based on some of the policies that we've seen, his advisors, and what we have been foreseeing and what we have been seeing so far.
I think it's a bag of mixed feelings. Before the president formed this cabinet, I said it in certain quarters that some positions will tell me the direction.
Mr. Fadigbe, I'm sorry, we're going to have to bump in on you quickly, so we can take a break now. Okay. And when we return, I will allow our guest just land on his thoughts. Do stay with us.
Global TV concept is the emerging, brand that everybody must watch. So I subscribe, and I'm prescribing that we must all be ready to begin to watch Global TV.
So keep watching Global TV, especially for updates on agriculture, food, commodities, and without food, there is no great nation.
So please watch Global TV because it's going to change your life.
So, Barrister Fadougbe, you were trying to help us with some prediction there as to whether President Bola Tinubu can, how he can best manage this.
Yes, I was saying that before I formed this cabinet, I mentioned that if I see the appointment for certain positions, I will be able to say one or two things about him. And I think for Minister of Finance, it was not a surprise that they brought in Mr. Wale Edun. They have always been together in Lagos. I'm not so familiar with Cardoso, but I know that Cardoso will not be a foreigner to him, given the sensitivity of the central bank. But I'm very, very uncomfortable with the Minister of Power.
Power?
Yesterday, I don't know whether you have experienced it. I can say to the credit of that sector that supply has been unusually regular. But I tie it to the fact that it's the rainy season. I want to measure their proficiency or efficiency during the dry season. Let's see what happens from October, November, December, January, February. Let's see, because if you remember the experience in the last year, you see that it was very, very bad. In the last 1 month, I can say confidently that I hardly lose supply. And if I lose supply, it comes back within 10 minutes, unless there's a major fault. Even when the rain is falling these days, I can tell you confidently that supply is always there. So I can give it to them. But I will still wait until towards the end of the year to see. Now, apart from Ministry of Interior, where there has been a lot of improvement in passport and all of those things. But passport is not the only thing that Ministry of Interior does. There are so many other things that they do, but they have been very, very visible. Then, of course, what Wike is doing in the Federal Capital Territory, I think he's doing a lot of work, so we can also give it to Mr. President from that direction. Which other area can we look at? Security has not been as good as we would have wanted it to be. That's the bitter truth. It has not. Although there has been some bit of calm, but if that calm is not reflected in the cost of living, particularly food items, then we still need to work on it seriously. So for me, if you want me to predict, if we are consistent with the areas where we have been good now, or where the government has been good, and then they can raise up the bar of performance in the areas where they are not doing well, I think we can take a risk and say the government is likely to end well. Notwithstanding the fact that we have confidence in the headship of Wale Edun over the Minister of Finance, we still feel very strongly about the value of the Naira. It's still a major challenge, given the fact that we are substantially an import-dependent country.
So you think we made a mistake by floating the Naira the other time?
I think government should have had a rethink about it. But again, what are the facts? The facts are that the crude that we have now that ought to give our Naira the strength has been used to pay for debts of almost 10. I understand that there are debts we have paid for with crude yet to be extracted until 2034, which is 10 years from now. So we are in a dire state.
Including some from Flexing Bank.
And that's why I think we need to cut ourselves and speak to ourselves and say, gentlemen, this is the critical condition we are in. What do we do? What and what do we do? What and what do we do? Even what we have now is sufficient to take care of us if we decide to become frugal.
But we don't look like we're ready for that now.
I don't think we're ready for that journey of frugality. Rather, we are heaping the pain on one section of the community. What is 70,000 naira as minimum wage? Realistically speaking, what is 70,000?
Incidentally, I'm afraid we wouldn't be able to provide answer to that question on this program this morning, but you have just asked a thought-provoking question, and I think it's what every Nigerian should go back with and, ruminate on, because whether you like it or not, like somebody said just this last weekend, that 70,000 naira advice can just get you to the market and then you grab a bag of rice. But whether you're going to eat that bag of rice raw the whole time or not is a choice you have to make as either an individual or as a family.
70,000 cannot buy you a bag of rice.
Okay, so you see, the conversation is just...
Your best bet is to just say, okay,
half bag of rice. So you
don't
get
take the risk of half bag, because it's not only rice.
You have to buy ingredients. Maybe a bit of protein here and there. We would like to say a big thank you to you, Barrister Bode Fadipe, for coming to talk to us this morning. We do appreciate it. And that's why we're leaving it, everyone. Remember that the views of our guests are their opinions. We do appreciate the time you've invested with us on Global Morning. Myself, Queen Agaba, and the entire team here at Global Television in Abuja, we say we're grateful. We'll see you again. Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave,